What is up, everybody? Good afternoon. It's Friday, January 3rd, 2025. I'm laughing because Rocco makes some crazy sounds. He's still doing it. Anyways, okay, so market today, a big up move. We'll take a look, some crazy moves. We'll recap the past 5 days too. Obviously, we had a holiday this week, but we'll recap everything that happened. I got long some Tesla today through a derivative play. Plan on holding for about 2 weeks. Had a big jump today. GM and Ford had their best numbers last year since before COVID. And the whole auto space was up today. Rivian was up on numbers as well. That was like 14,000 elephants and ants types comparison. But we'll get into really what happened this week. And it was an interesting day and week, as it were. Let's go into this here. 1 second. Let me share the doc. I hope you took a look at, maybe read some of my Chart Advisor Investopedia stuff this week. That was fun doing that. I will do that again in a couple of months. And then doing the webinar on Wednesday. Hopefully you saw cmtassociation.com for a link for registration. That's at noon. And then also doing the All-Star Charts show on that's in a couple of weeks. So I'll talk about that more. So all right. So here we go. Without further ado, this is the weekly recap image, and I think it's appropriate. This week was really about the big. It's a specific kind of story, I guess, but it was really about the jump in oil. We'll take a look at the chart and a big drop in China. That was really when you get takeaways in terms of absolute moves. That was really moved on a 6 to 7% basis. Here it is, the headline for today. South Korea with a big jump. I was actually writing about that in Chart Advisor. That was one of the best shorts of last year. And I said, get ready for a bit of a jump before it sets up for a shorting opportunity again. And that's exactly what happened today. ARK stocks jumped. Kind of funny because I have it written on my pad. And I did it on the show here last week or 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Buy ARK ? And I wrote under $55 through Thursday, January 2nd. And today's the 3rd. Obviously, Tesla is a main holder in ARK. I got long the direct, strength of it, as it were. But it wasn't just Tesla, also ARKG, the Genomic fund, which we'll take a look at. And Nat Gas, plunge 8%, also wrote about that. Said if it holds above its 200-day moving average, which I think is 15, we'll take a look at the chart. But if it holds above its 200-day moving average and it does it for about over a month, it could be worth your money. And today, a big reversal down 8%. We'll see. And then on the week, again, a big 7% or so, very close, about 6 to 6.5%, 7% jump in oil prices. As I check here, crude closed today at about $74 a barrel. So it was up 1% today. It's had a big move, like I said, 6 to 7% in the past week, and a big drop in China, down 6%. So we'll take a look. Let's get first of all, as I said, let's start with the SPY. We'll show you some of the, if you have a ticker or anything, put it in there, and I will take a look. There were some movers today. So just take a look at some of the individuals. I also said SMH was getting ready for a pop up to 260, so you could buy some of the semiconductors. NVIDIA, big pop today at 5%, and Tesla, that's what we were talking about, up 8%. I've written about the big mean reversion pop that you could expect in mega-cap tech. We'll take a look at that too in a little bit in the MAGS ETF. But Tesla was oversold, been going down 15% 2 weeks straight. Not surprising I was going to get a bone, and a big one here past the 21-day exponential moving average. NVIDIA, like I said, up 4.7%, SPY up 1.25%, MicroStrategy up 13%, and that's with Bitcoin not up 13%. Bitcoin was it's trading 98K, I believe, last I saw. So those were some of the big movers. Palantir up 6%, best stock of 2024, and Rivian, like I said, in the auto news up 24%, but obviously a much smaller market. So as I zoom out here, so we go back to the SPY, a little bit of a messy chart. If just to recap, we had said before I was expecting a accumulation phase to begin around December 20th. So just to go back to steps, literally this low here. And I expected a pretty good ascent for about 2 weeks up until January 5th, ending us about, I was thinking about 610 I thought we'd be at. So about 20 points delta here. Instead, what happened was we got to about the, middle Bollinger Band here, 601, does about 1% higher than the 21-day exponential moving average. And then we did an absolute double bottom at that 580 mark. Still holding that election gap. That's super important to me. That's a sentiment view. That's a really important level. This 580, and we held it wonderfully. The gap before the election is actually a little bit closer to 577. So as long as we hold that, I mean, that's way above the 200-day moving average as well. That's 555. I was just writing today on a good technician on X. Until SPY closes under 555 for about 2 weeks straight, I'm staying long. Bought more mega cap tech and more Bitcoin today, actually, and that Tesla. So pretty bullish. Does it mean perfectly timed that we're going to go up for the entire next week? No, actually the chart is pretty messy. I'm getting mixed signals as well in terms of the Qs. So I rarely do this. We usually look at the SPY, but let me just go to the Qs to show you what I mean. So to me, the Qs had a cleaner top here around that December 20th, even if I use the same date to mark beta, for example. This one wasn't as messy. This had a top, 5 days later. There's not, a direct science to it, of course. You have to use a little bit of art as well. And then we went down to snow alert. So we went down from 530 here all the way to 505. I'm beginning to think that we do a little bit more here towards maybe 550. Had a big day up 1.6. And this looks like a rejection here at that candle at 506. Didn't look like Q was worth that. Again, the Q's SPY. The Q election gap is closer down here to 495. A beautiful 200-day rising moving average. No reason to call this a dog just yet. And the top is in. I'm sorry. 1216 was the high in terms of days. So basically to bring this all up to some here, I still think we're getting a pop in the next 2 to 3 weeks to about 520 to 525 level in Qs. I expect kind of a similar thing. We'll take a look at it instead of me talking around it. But anyways, going back to the SPY. So like I said, to me, the Qs is a cleaner chart. We could do a little bit of dancing here sideways. For me, in terms of the SPY, it could get a little bit maybe nastier, not nastier, but it could get to 585 and then start to go back up again. But still expect new all-time highs in the next 1 to 2 months. A lot of stocks are stuck in range. I expect them to break out at some point. And this chart even better than the Qs, as you can tell. If you looked at the hedge fund returns of 2024, the S&P is a top 3 hedge fund. Last year and over the past 10 years, it's easily top 10 hedge fund in the world. So, and what I'm saying about it is the way it's constructed, not one close under the 200 moving average. So really no even risk management would have really had to kick in on August 5th. You would have got a little bit concerned because it's got 1% away, but really nothing, no reason to actually sell your holdings. Again, I was talking on X today, quarterly sub 40 RSI readings, perfectly healthy on the way, corrections along the way before churning out new highs, about 1.5% a month is what it looks like to me so far in 2025. Something you want to get behind. All right, we got a lot to go. That was a big preamble there. We'll take a look closer at that at SPY charts for next week, but I do think this has ground to go. I think this is headed towards 600 in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's going to be a little bit messy, but I do expect this to go, overall higher. I got, several buy signals that I think it's been put in, but we'll see. We'll see what next week looks like. Okay, enough. All right, so let's look at the big movers. Oh man, my computer doesn't want to cooperate. All right, so big move here. Let's do this. So South Korea up 3.1% today. Ugly chart though. Like I said, I was writing about this one. No reason really to hold this. Not really a fan. Just nothing but oversold readings too since November. I said it's gone a little bit too far. New Year's Eve it hit a 51 essentially. And I said at least we expect this to get to its 21-day exponential moving average around 53.5 on a pop. And today did that in a big way, up 3%. I think I don't want to say bullishness will continue, but you are going to get some kind of a bounce to about that 53.5, 53.30 level. And if you're looking for shorts, South Korea, not a horrible run. Don't forget, Samsung is about 23%, I believe, of this fund. So it's, it was a big tech move and it benefited and other things, I'm sure, in the country. But this one, again, a 52-week low loser. This one hasn't even been above, I'm nitpicking here, but this one clearly has not been above 50 RSI since the month of September. So not typically something I want to own. An extremely heavy 200-day moving average. So I'll be looking for this for a short if I get to 53.30. And also mega bulls, just so I add, I'm short Brazil. That's one of my hedges for downside. So I'm short Brazil along, that mega cap strength in Bitcoin as well. So go with where the trends are. Okay, so ARK, a big jump, up 5% today. So obviously Tesla being up, 8-9% what it did. This is going to benefit. This one has also really been going to the downside since early December. Big day on this one. The Fed cut rates. This thing went from 63 to 58 in one day. But the flow still looks strong in this name. I liked ARK, hence why I wrote it on the sheet. And I like this too. I mean, 59 was the 21-day exponential moving average, and it gapped. I mean, not gapped, but it went right through that. And this thing was at 56 yesterday. So an impressive move. I think this can get to about 60, 62. I don't know if it takes out this 52-week high, but I do think it has more bullishness ahead, about another $2. And it wasn't, like I said, just the ARKK. It was also ARKG. This thing was up 5%. This chart, though, is I'm going to help if I move that. Boopity, boopity, bop. All right, so this one, a much messier chart. This does not have a 52-week high in the past month. Not quite. This actually hasn't held its 200-day moving average for more than a week's worth of sessions since March. So this is totally different game. That being said, I still like, I mean, this one has like another week or so, I would say, to about 26, maybe even as high as 27. So I think these names are in favor. All right, what dropped this day, big time. Nat gas down almost at 8.5% today. Was writing about this as well. I said it's tactically a great trade to short, as of 2024. But here's where it causes me some pause. So again, what's the easy crash dummy thing to do in net gas whenever you see a chart like this is when you get the 200-day moving average, super heavy, gets the Kembe, do you sell it? Gets the 200-day, sell it, 200-day, sell it, 200-day, sell it, 200-day, sell it. So what happened here was, so something happened here December 20th, Christmas week, got to 200-day, and what happened here? You got your face ripped off because it's gone from 15 all the way to 19. So hopefully if you did that, you switch. I did not participate. Thankfully, I was on, vacation and holiday here, so I didn't actually act. But also you have to understand that the slope of the 200-day moving average. So now the 200-day moving average, this is why really I won't play this for right now, is because the 200-day moving average is starting to flatten and actually go up. It just started going up. So, in terms of the 10-month inputs of prices here in net gas, something is changing. At least the velocity to the downside is not as stretched. It could be, I was talking to a friend that's in the business about, the producer cost for the nat gas industry and how it's below $3 or something. It's below the break even. Sorry if I'm butchering it if you're watching, but like I said, I look at the charts. So anyway, so what happened here is this got to 19, and then now it's gone to 15 in just 4 days. I believe that, I think this was a top here. I think even if you backtracked it, and we went to my mid-December videos, we said, the slope is starting to stop. I'm not going to roll put spreads anymore. And you're going to want to potentially, if you want to, you can position some upside. And I said in the article for Chart Advisor as well, I'd say if this holds into the end of January above 1530, it can deserve a spot in your portfolio, because even if it gets the 1-year 50% Fibonacci number of about $18, about $20 around this region where we were back in June, that's a 20% or so ripper. So we'll see. But all that being said, I don't think that's coming to play. I think this is headed towards about $14 over the next 2 weeks. I do think selling will happen in this name, and it's going to do this tug of war with a 200-day moving average. I think it's going to go beneath it. As I said, it's 1531 in this ETF. We close at 1559. So it looks, maybe next week or in the following week after that. All right, but a big plunge for nat gas. Mexico down hard today. I was writing about Mexico, the second best country short, I believe, last year. I chose Brazil due to its horrendous performance, but Mexico was there as well. Mexico down 1.8% today. So I think I was actually surprised by this move. Let me move that. So I was actually a little bit surprised by the move because on New Year's Eve, it had a bottom here at 46, and I thought that was it, and it was going to start to move towards 49, and you're going to get that setup. But instead, what happened, it could be just one bad day. It got to about 48, and then we're right back here to about 47. So we'll see. I do think it might have a tougher road, as losers do, and this is clearly a loser. Nobody Quiero Mexico ETF. My Spanish teacher, Mr. Clinton, would be proud. No, he wouldn't. No, he would not. So this would go to, I was thinking 49. So I still think this is going to be an accumulation mode, but slower and possibly just as as much as 48.5. And if you're looking for short, this one's not a bad one for consideration as well. Like I said, once they had that election June 3rd, this whole country absolutely fell out of bed. Not even getting political, just looking at the chart. Once June 3rd happened and they had that election, everything fell out of bed. Almost the reverse of what happened here. You had that Trump bump and everything raised. You had the opposite happen here. And then next, VXX. So this was an interesting move. I want to include this. So VXX down 6% today, a big move lower, but you'll see later. Actually, a big, not big, but a nice mover on the week. If you looked at VXX from 5 days ago, it was 42, and then now. So we're actually was going to highlight this in the best of the week. It's actually the second biggest gainer after oil. Wasn't huge, but it was up 5%, good enough. And today, a big give back. So VXX, to me, the chart is interesting. It hasn't done a ton. I actually see it being, softly accumulated up to about, 49 or so. I think it does try and make a run at that 200-day moving average, which it couldn't really do it this week. It did it back on the week before Christmas on the 20th when the Fed cut and things were, getting crazy. VXX actually hit 57, but it couldn't close above the 200-day moving average for more than 2 days straight. That's sign of a loser. And then, so right here, that heavy resistance at 49, which would be a 10% jump from here, again, down 6. But I do see this being accumulated. That's what's giving me a little bit mixed picture about the S&P. If VXX typically is rising, SPY is typically going lower. So I think SPY overall, like I said, goes sideways to lower, but not significantly over the next, week too. All right, next. All right, so those are the losers. Nat gas, Mexico, and volatility. Today, a big, drop in volatility. Okay, top 3 gainers of the past 5 days. No repeating charts. Sharks. It's Friday, y'all. And on this weird Friday, Monday day or whatever this is. All right. So oil, a really nice move here. Again, it's just finally gotten to the 200-day moving average as of 2 days ago. So it was up 1.3% today, but in the past 5 days, up 7%, 6.5%. We'll call it 7. And this just continues to be a frustrating chart for investors. In my opinion, this year it was impressive, I'll say, to see it get above 76. But I do think this is headed down. Again, nice looking candle today. You have very heavy resistance at 79 going back to July, and just a sideways 200-day moving average. I think if you caught this move from 72, the week before Christmas, congrats. But I think this is headed towards 74. So it's going to buck this. And then I believe it's going to go lower. So not a terrible short, in my opinion. Maybe give it a couple of days, but I do think oil starts to go lower. A good week for oil, though. Second best chart this week after oil was volatility, up about 4.5% this week. And then the next one after volatility was Bitcoin through the IBIT ETF. I bought some more today, up 3.5% this week, up 1% today. So highs hit for this the week or so before Christmas. It hit $62. That corresponds with about 108K in Bitcoin. I'd said before in the video, I think it was either a couple days ago or last week, I said Bitcoin looks good. I think it's getting ready to run. All IBIT is doing is just basing around its 21-day exponential moving average. Absolute winner. You got a pretty ugly bearish divergence here, where the high is new highs. I said that a couple times. When the price makes a new high and the RSI does not, usually means there's going to be some give back, and it's usually going to be quick, especially in a higher volatility asset like this one. That's exactly what happened. We went from 61 all the way to a low of 652, 51 in about a week. But as Bitcoin's going to Bitcoin. So the absolute superstar profile, never once oversold since this thing became an ETF. Just absolute superstar profile. I think this is headed towards about 61. I think it's getting back there. 60. I'll say close to the highs. I do think Bitcoin's going to break 100K again in fairly soon order. And this was like it's headed to. You're going to get some volatility expansion as well. I think. I think this headed to 60 to 61 the next 2 to 3 weeks. All right. Said it. All right. So that was the big winners this week. It was oil, volatility, and Bitcoin. Congrats if you were in it. To the downside to start the new year, no bueno for China, down 1% today, down 6% this week. If you look at the chart here, not a ton of people maybe are familiar with this ETF. It's less liquid than FXI, but very, very similar moves. So I thought China was going to be in accumulation mode. I thought here, honestly, around Christmas Eve, where's the chart? I thought that was the beginning of the ascent. I thought this was going to actually rally towards $28 after it put in this strong. I like the support here. This is why this chart's interesting. I thought the support here about 26.5 would hold, and that ascent would begin into about this week, early next week, and we'd go all the way towards 28. That did not happen. This week it got derailed, and now it's up on the ropes. Literally 25.30 is the 200-day moving average. It's a 25.42 or 12 cents away. Yikes. And it hasn't done that since they announced that stimulus, and this country had a totally different profile, and it was overbought and started this whole frenzy end of September. All that being said, never oversold all year. I think your risk to reward here is not terrible if you wanted to get long China. I think there's just a lot of signs. It seems like this is headed towards back to 27 in about, could take a little bit longer, but another 2 to 3 weeks. It looks like a little bit of the excitement has faded in China. I'm only saying that because of the high here at 2970, couldn't eclipse it, and then there again. And it doesn't look like the ball is rolling off the table, but it does look like it's lost some momentum here and just minor trading above 55 RSIs. But all that being said, I deal with things in terms of risk reward. I don't think this does much below 25, and I do think there's a lot of meaningful data points to pull it to 27. So may put this on for a tactical trade. Let me see here. Yeah, do it. We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Bill O'Reilly, 20 years ago, maybe. 10. Long ASHR Monday, question mark. I'm Ron Burgundy. So that's literally what I do. Long ASHR Monday, and I'll put 25.40 for current spot level. All right, moving on. So ASHR, bad week, the worst this week. Really, like I said, if you had to talk about this week in big macro terms, the big takeaways was the rise in oil, 7%, up for oil, and down 6 for China. All right, next. So this is super important. I bought this essentially through a derivative. I mean, it's all the market, right, beta. So this is the Mag 7. A bad week for it, down 4% this week. A nice advance today, up 2.5%, but a nasty week for it. I've been saying I wrote about XLY and XLC, so in essence this, but I think this was great. If you could pick this above $53 around here, that was great. You don't get many chances like that. Again, a great chart, not even once under its 200-day moving average. So there's obviously the Qs did it, Bitcoin did it. This is amazing strength, and just only periods of weeks of overbought when it happened. So a line of buyers. This is Taylor Swift playing stadiums, and add more dates. She's not playing clubs. You're not going to get in. It's kind of like that. That's how ownership for the Mag 7 works. And 52-week highs or all-time highs rather within the past month. Love that, $59. So this had written the cards that this was going to go to 55. I didn't think it was going to stay down here with a 53 handle. 55 seemed like it was written in it. And then I'm saying 57 is what I'm expecting. And then if we get that bullish animal spirits again, we're going to 59, take out those new all-time highs. So Tesla move today helps. It would help you with other things. Microsoft had a nice gain, over an $80 billion investment in AI data centers. Seems important. So that's the way they're playing it. 80 billion for AI data centers. But anyways, so Mag 7, I think you can start buying this. Still great looking flows. Overbought literally just a couple of weeks ago with the all-time highs. I think you can gobble this up, and the ascent has begun. Might be some hiccups along the way, but next up 57 and 59. Okay, and then lastly, bought this one too the day after New Year's, the Jets ETF. So I bought this one, not an awful week for, but not a good one. Down 2.5% to be your third loser. So the losers this week was China, the Mag 7 space, and then the Jets Airlines. So I bought this one, absolutely great chart, but we're talking about strength and amazing things that happen. This did not have that during the Nikkei, Yen-mageddon. So this actually got oversold, 52-week lows. It had to claw back to get above the 200-day moving average. It did that by mid-September, and now it went all the way 52-week highs, December 12th of $26. Now it's pulled back. As I said, I did buy some. I like this trade for this year. You just got to be careful with airlines, though, because it's not a great business, in my opinion. But some of these look good fundamentally in terms of their, not the debt specifically, but the free cash flow and the revenue and guidance that they're issuing. All that being said, this looks like it's done. It's heavy lifting on the upside, and now I do expect to sell off a little bit to about $24, where I'll revisit the position if I want to add more. but still a great looking chart. 200-day moving average oversold was right there during a macro sell-off. Other than that, held the 200-day moving average the entire year since January, and this was one of the best trades last year. I believe the fifth best trade actually all of 2024. So looks good. I think it comes down to 24, and then about a month, 2 months from now, I do believe it gets to new 52-week highs towards 26. We shall see. All right. Oh man, top three trades of the past 5 days. Not to kill a dead horse who's already dead, but long oil up 7, short China -6, and then long volatility up 5. All right, exciting part. Top 3 trades of the past 52 weeks. So this is essentially your very quick year in review from Jan 3rd of 2024 till today. Your number one Mac Daddy of them all, GBTC, up 120%. A nice day today, up 1%. Nothing major, but good to see. Again, this is not really traded under 50 RSI with much gusto since mid-September. So a good profile pre and post-election. I like to see that. And it's been doing a lot of work. Like I said, leader, you get paid in volatility with this thing. But this has held the 200-day moving average for the entire year, except from that August 5th period all the way until October 15th. I was on here talking about how things do not look good for Bitcoin here, but you got to give, the superstar a leash. That's exactly what happened. And then once those highs, specifically through GBTC, got broken at 66, off to the races. So, like I said, I bought IBIT today. GBTC is basically its sister through different bar mechanisms. I like this. I think Bitcoin's getting ready to run, as I've been saying. I think it's headed towards $86 or so in the next, and that'll be new all-time highs for Bitcoin, which turned 16 today. So happy birthday, Bitcoin Genesis. My grandfather, the sentence I'd be saying, he'd be rolling in his grave. But yeah, I think this is headed to $86 or so in the next 2 to 3 weeks, which would be about 110K Bitcoin. All right, next, SMH. So again, they can't all be superstars right now in the moment. That is your number 2 winner, though. So this is range bound, and this has got a lot of attention. So this group topped in July on 711. That was the old NASDAQ highs, and now software has really helped. And now, semis are still kind of stuck in range bound. If you look at this, we are range bound. I wrote that we had a big pop today of 3%. So folks could tell that this was on sale, but I'm not so sure what is going to pull it to 260. I wrote about this 2 weeks ago, I think, and I said the rally will happen. It's a little bit too cheap, and it's going to take it to 260, and then it's going to go back down to about 246. So it really trades like that. It's kind of this ball, and you can even tell here what the tug of war has with the RSI. It's been doing this since the week of the election, essentially, but the gap is starting to narrow. You can tell we're getting more and more tight. As you can tell, look at the blue bands here, how they're nothing. We weren't trading anything like this in September before this period happened. All that being said, it's consolidating. This is an absolute superstar. You want to own it. I told you before, I love the risk reward. If you got in at 241, I did buy SMH actually 2 days ago. I did some trading the day after, when the market reopened and rejiggered some of the portfolio. So did the Jets, shorted Brazil, bought SMH. And your risk reward at 241 is lovely. To me, it was almost locked in. Downside, very minimal 241. Upside almost seemed like a sure 10, 15 points. Well, right here, you got that 10. I think you got about another 8 to go, and it's going to go back down towards 246. This is your second best gainer of the past year, up 52%. And just last thing, because I am blathering now, I'm tired. Growth. So plus 41% this past year. So again, when I was doing this, you could check the tapes back in summer. It was Bitcoin, semis, and there was real estate. There was airlines sometimes. Financials was a big one. And now it's really collectively the growth story. Again, this IBW ETF is going to be weighted in, I like the top 50 better, the XLG, just because it's a trade, investment, everything. It's like a god stock, in my opinion. But this is NVIDIA, Apple, Microsoft makes 25% of this. And then you get Meta, Amazon, Broadcom. It's no financials. It's essentially the Qs variant of the Qs. Great looking chart. Nothing under the 200-day moving average. And the reason why I'm blathering about it is it really, the growth story was obviously, the major thing of 2024. And this was a very, very easy way to play it. IBW, even better than Qs. Like I said, it's 13% NVIDIA, and then 6 Apple, 6 Microsoft, 5 Meta, 5 Amazon, 5 Tesla. basically you don't have any, looks like financials I don't see here. You have Eli Lilly, and that's the only non-tech in the top 10. But yeah, great looking charts. I've been saying I think the mega caps can be bought here specifically for this one in terms of levels. Yeah, it had a date with 103. I didn't think it was going to stay down here at 101, and it looks like this is, I'll call for new all-time highs. Actually, the high back there is right about 106. Because with the terms of duration, I think it could get to about 106, maybe 107, but you really need kind of like an average. You really need this volatility expansion. But great looking chart. This bullish buys, I think this gets towards about, let's split the difference and say it goes about 105 in the next 2 to 3 weeks. But I think it has potential for more. All right, that was the third best trade of the past year. Have a good weekend. If you're snowing where you are, enjoy it, I guess. Be safe. Diffuse some kindness. Put some tickers in there next time, I guess. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week for a webinar and all that good stuff. Peace. Oh, go Birds.